Welcome to yet another episode of Truth, Spirit and Wealth. This time I want to talk about Iran. There's a lot of talking about Iran. Obviously takes the headline for what's going on now in the Strait of Hormuz. But I also hear a lot of superficial commentaries, even by people that shouldn't be superficial. And because I strongly believe that historia magistra vitae, so history is the teacher of life. It was a Latin sentence that it's really important because it's only by knowing how our history is that we can avoid the pitfall in the future. So I want to give a very quick factual history about Iran and draw a parallel to what is happening today in the West. So before the Shah Pahlavi dynasty, there was the Qajar dynasty between 1789 and 1925. At that time, Iran was a very backwards, poor, mostly feudal and agriculture country. The society was extremely poor and the literacy was under 10% in many areas. Women had no any rights and they stay mostly confined at home and lost huge territories to the Russian in the north and the British were running the south. The Qajar dynasty had to give away lots of their assets just to stay in power. In 1925, all these ends with Reza Shah Pahlavi that reigned from 25 to 41. And then his modernization of the society has kept going with his son Mohammad Reza. In 50 years between the beginning of this new dynasty, so the 25 and the 70s, Iran was transformed completely. It was a rich country. Women had all the rights that they had in the West. And Tehran was called the Paris of the East. However, when a society changes so dramatically, economically and politically in a short amount of time, usually what we can see in historical fact is that the wealth distribution is distributed unfairly or at least incorrectly. So the rich in the North Tehran lived like European aristocrats, while the rural migrants crammed into southern slums. Inflation ate wages, and the Shah's secret police crushed the dissent. So under these conditions, two different layers of anger have grown. There were the extreme left, so the Marxist, communist, and student radicals that saw only capitalist oppression and Western imperialism. And then there was the Islamists, hardline clerics led by the Ayatollah Khomeini in exile in Turkey, saw only godless decadence and moral collapse. The two groups didn't really like each other. Obviously, the communists are against any type of religion. However, they set aside their differences to come together with a common goal, the goal of removing the Shah and to create a new society. And this is where the revolution started, and it ended up, as we all know, with Khomeini coming back and creating the Islamic regime that has governed and oppressed the people of Iran since 1979. However, once Khomeini has came to the power, he crushed the leftist organization, and the leaders confessed on television after being tortured, and then they were executed. In 1988, the regime massacred thousands of leftist prisoners, many of them the very people who would have helped Khomeini coming into power. Now, I don't want to go deeper into the history, but I just want to mark some point here. First of all, There is a terminology to define people that help the killers, which is the useful idiots. So, in that case, the leftist organization, they were the useful idiots for the extreme Islamists that have created the Islamic regime. The other important element is that we can draw a parallel between what's happened there and what is happening today in the Western world. In the Western world nowadays, you can more or less agree, but it's obvious that there's a lots of immigration that is taking advantage of laws made for the end of the Second World War, and to bring people from mainly from the south, from Africa, and from the east. Most of them are Islamist, and they come from very poor countries, and they have very different lives and objectives in life than what we have in the Western world. Um, and there is another element that is the distribution of wealth. With the digital revolution after the 2000, and now even more with AI, the wealth has been and is going to be concentrated in the hands of a few, whilst the most are losing job towards the globalization or the automations or the inflation, and they can't get to the end of the month. These are the perfect condition for another similar story like that has happened in the 79 in Iran happen again here in the West. So the result of the end of this video is that we all need to be vigilant and not superficial in understanding the changes of our society. There is space for everyone. Everyone needs to be free to express their opinion, to profess their religion, but it's everyone, not only one part. And this is what we all need to fight for.